Hey, what's up? This your boy Big Man. You already know what it is, man. So let's get right to it. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about a murder investigation, or I should say a murder trial, that's finally come to close. And the results of this are going to make some people happy and make some people very upset. Now, it's no mystery that NBA Youngboy's crew, NBA, and TBG, Fredo Bang's crew, have had an ongoing beef since the death of the rapper G Money. Now, this is a picture of the rapper G Money. Now, G Money lost his life when he made a song that made NBA Youngboy and his crew upset. Now, the song was rumored to have some lyrics in it that dissed NBA Youngboy's sister, and it was rumored that he was shot and killed in retaliation for that song. Now, about a year ago, a guy by the name of DeAndre Fields was arrested. Now, DeAndre Fields is an associate of NBA Youngboy, and he also goes by the name of NBA Lil Pap. So this is a picture of Lil Pap right here, right? Now, what's crazy is he's been fighting this case for a little over a year, right? So it seems like they finally came to a situation where this case is going to be closed in the murder of the rapper G Money, which is crazy because a lot of people have been watching this from afar, trying to see how it pans out. Because remember, when they found Lil Pap, he was originally on the run. He was on the run. He was trying to hide. They say that people were on his head looking for him because it was already rumored out there that he had shot G Money. Now, there was a witness in the case who came out, and that was the eyewitness who the whole case was resting on. Now, this situation gets a little crazier because it looks like the key witness didn't have a clean record on his own. So, man, this ended up working in favor of NBA Lil Pap, and he ended up getting a very, very good deal. So, man, and I hate to say it like that because if he's guilty and he really shot G Money, I know G Money's people, they're going to feel some sort of way about that, right? All right, now with that, before we get to the specifics, do me a favor. Make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and man, let's get it. All right, now with that, man, let's actually look at this news story that talks about exactly what went down in this situation. So let's check this out, man. This is crazy. Now, as you see there, in the headline, it says, man accused in slaying of Baton Rouge rapper G Money pleads to greatly reduce charge. And when they say greatly, they ain't playing, man. So let's go through the story. So it says this. It says, a man accused of gunning down Baton Rouge rapper G Money and igniting a violent street beef between two rap rival crews accepted a plea deal from prosecutors Monday afternoon that will allow him to serve 5 years in prison on an accessory charge. So stop here. This is the person that allegedly shot and killed Baton Rouge rapper G Money, and he's only gonna have to serve 5 years in prison. This is crazy, man. I'm not even gonna lie. This is pretty wild. Now, the story continues by saying this. It says DeAndre DeMarcus Fields, 28 years old, nicknamed NBA Lil Pap, was an associate of local rap artist NBA Youngboy. According to a second-degree murder indictment filed against Fields 2 years ago, he was the trigger man who shot and killed G Money, 22 years old at the time, whose real name is Garrett Burton, outside his music studio on Dallas Drive in September of 2017. Now, this was a major deal because G Money was catching a lot of waves. I mean, he was getting a lot of looks, a lot of motion as far as him being a rapper and him coming out of TBG, who at that point hadn't had a real breakout star. You know, Fredo Bang hadn't really popped or anything like that. So it was a good look. And the crazy part about it is him and NBA Youngboy actually started off as homeboys. So somebody in NBA Youngboy's crew shooting him, it was obviously after the breakup of the two crews, you know, the beef between each other, man. Now, there's been other people who have been involved in this, allegedly, but let's continue with the story. So the story continues by saying this. It says that Burton performed as frontman for the TBG or Top Boy Gorilla label. He and Youngboy, whose real name is Kentrell Gaulden, were former friends whose relationship soured after Gaulden splintered from the group and started his NBA, or Never Broke Again, entourage. Burton's fatal shooting was the first volley in a bitter street feud between the rival crews, described by East Baton Rouge authorities as gangs that lasted several years and provoked a number of other shootings, prosecutors said Monday. The fallout from those shootings spilled over into Fields' case and made it difficult for the state to prosecute him for Burton's murder, East Baton Rouge Parish District Attorney Hiller Moore said in a statement. So they're saying the fact that all these shootings were taking place between crews, it made it tougher for them to prosecute Lil Pap based on the information that they had. Now, they were basing a lot of this on a key witness, and we're going to get to that, or an eyewitness, I should say, right? So let's get to that. So Donovan Cortez Jefferson, a key witness in Burton's shooting, was indicted in July 2020 on an unrelated second-degree murder amid allegations he shot and killed 41-year-old Derek Jones inside a Jim Taylor Drive apartment in November 2019. Jefferson, 34 years old, who's still battling his case, is scheduled to stand trial in March of this year. So it looks like they had this one witness, Donovan Cortez Jefferson, right? And he ended up catching a murder case on his own. So it's almost like, they're looking at it like, this dude will probably say anything to have to not do a murder charge or get a life sentence in jail. So how much can we really weigh his key eyewitness testimony? It's wild that he's fighting a murder case on his own and he's willing to be an eyewitness in this situation. That goes to show that, man, even the lawyers on the other side would look at that and probably say, this dude is being desperate because he's got a murder hanging over his head. You see what I'm saying? Now, it continues in quotes and says this. It says, Jefferson's arrest created a serious issue to the successful trial of DeAndre Fields, as the state's eyewitness has been indicted for a homicide himself, Moore said in his statement. There was no other direct information outside of some circumstantial evidence to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Fields was responsible for this homicide. So basically, that's all the information that they had, was the eyewitness in this case, and the eyewitness in this case is essentially bad because he's got a murder case hanging over his head of his own. So how much could you really rely on the information that he's given? He could be just saying this to get out of jail or to get out of a prison sentence, right? It continues by saying this. It says, Fields of New Roads agreed to a negotiated deal between prosecutors and his attorney that saw his charge drop to accessory after the fact of murder, a nonviolent offense that exposed him to only 5 years behind bars. He will serve that sentence as he serves a 3-year prison stint for a federal weapons charge he picked up last year while awaiting trial. So he got caught with a weapon, a gun, while he was awaiting trial in this situation, and it seems like he's just going to wait out his time on this 5-year deal too. What's crazy is he's probably going to be out before you know it. You know what I mean? And I don't know how to feel about that, and I definitely don't know how people in Baton Rouge feel about that, but I know this is probably going to rub some people the wrong way, you know? But let's continue. Now, also in quotes, it says, under the circumstances, the state was not in any other position but to resolve this matter under these circumstances, Moore said. In quotes also, it says, my office has discussed this issue with Mr. Burton's family prior to accepting this deal. So meaning they reached out to G Money's family and let them know that this is the decision that they came down with, prior to them actually reaching this deal with NBA Lil Pap that essentially has them getting 5 years for what could have been a murder. They're basically saying that they don't even have enough information to charge him for a murder, so you have to say allegedly, you know what I mean? Now, Fields was slated to be tried this week in state court on the second-degree murder indictment, for which he faced a mandatory life sentence if convicted. According to his new indictment on accessory charge, he was simply in the car with a group of people, one of whom was the alleged murderer. When Burton was shot and killed, prosecutors allege Fields assisted the killer afterwards. That means he's putting somebody else as the shooter. And I don't know if on the back end to get this 5-year deal, he ended up telling them who that person was that he assisted, but maybe he didn't. You know what I mean? I don't know the details of that, so I'm not going to run with that. But it seems like when you're looking at a life sentence and now you're getting 5 years guaranteed deal, potentially out in less time than that, it's a state charge. Man, it seems like his lawyers had to do some real working, you know what I mean? Now, it also says that with this agreement, the sentencing and the charge has been greatly reduced from what it was. 9th Judicial District Court Judge Michael McDonald told him. Fields loudly proclaimed his innocence in the courtroom after Stuart Thoreau, a prosecutor from East Baton Rouge Parish District Attorney's Office, announced the offer. Fields could be overheard telling his attorney, I can't take time for something that I didn't do. Later, after discussing the agreement with his family, he told a loved one he was 100% innocent, but couldn't gamble with the risk of being incarcerated for life. So basically, he was saying, Lil Pap was telling his lawyer and telling his family, like, yo, I am 100% innocent. And until he's proven guilty, you have to give him that benefit of the doubt because none of us was there, right? And he's saying, like, yo, he had to tell his lawyer, like, I'm not doing any time for something I didn't do, but I'd rather do this 5 years than do that life in prison. You know what I'm saying? And that makes perfect sense. But what do y'all think will happen with this decision? Do y'all think that, yo, tempers have been high in Baton Rouge and they finally cooled off? They finally cooled off with the toy drive where you had NBA Youngboy's brother and you had Fredo Bang come together to do something for the community during the holidays, right? And now you have a decision like this where NBA Lil Pap, everybody kind of saw him as the shooter, you know, not saying that he did it. Everybody just, you know, assumed that once he was arrested, right? Now you have all this information coming out on court and they're saying it was circumstantial. They really couldn't put the blame on NBA Lil Pap. And it looks like he took a 5-year deal in this case. Do you think that's going to raise people's, you know, make people look a certain way? Or do the streets really know what went down and maybe he really wasn't the shooter after all? Y'all tell me what y'all think in the comment section, man. Now with that, this been your boy Big Man. Do me a favor. Make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and make sure you hit that notification bell so that way you get a notification every time I drop this hot content. And we out of here. Peace.